Hi, welcome to Pace Pilates. This intermediate class needs a strap only. Starting standing, tucking the tailbone into neutral. Take hold of your stretchy band or your dressing gown cord or your belt and take it shoulder distance apart in your hands. Reach out front, retract your shoulder blades, draw them down your back and reach the arms tall overhead. Think about neutral spine position, soft knees, and you're exhaling to take the arms overhead side to side. Starting small, gradually building up to a deeper side bend as you warm up. You should be feeling this stretch through the back of the shoulder blades, into the lower waist, and maybe into the lower part of the back. Start to reach one arm lower if you're using a stretchy band. Work with the resistance. If you have a belt or a dressing gown cord as I'm showing you, reach one arm longer to the ground. You're just deepening the stretch either side. Repeat as many times as you need to feel warmed up, ready to go. Come down to high kneeling position, or you can stay standing if this is easier for you. Reach the arms up and overhead. Extend the band or the strap and take it forwards and backwards. You're thinking about tucking the tailbone, lengthening through the front of the hips. Breathing out as you sweep the arms overhead and inhaling to return them to the front. Taking the strap and placing it to the side, we're going to work into the shoulders and the arms. So make a U shape with your arms, bending the elbows. Think as if there was a wall behind your back. You can do this against the wall if you prefer. You're going to rotate just one arm at the shoulder, taking the palm to face behind you. If you're feeling pops and clunks through the shoulders, go gently, don't force the range of motion. You may not find that you rotate fully round. Change to the other side. You're looking for up to 5 repetitions on each side. And then we're going to alternate. So one arm and then the other, changing sides. Work up from a few repetitions, building up to 10 sets. And then bringing the arms together and relaxing. Take a little stretch to ease out the backs of the shoulders. Take the arm across your body and reach just behind the elbow to pull it in towards your chest. Take as long as you need with these stretches. Shrug the shoulders up to your ears, roll them back and down, sinking them a little deeper each time. Ready for the next phase. Working with the arms outstretched is going to take the movement into the tops of the arms, into the deltoid muscles. We're making small circles with the palms facing the ground. Here, as you start to concentrate, your chin may creep forward, so think about head and neck posture. You're still tucked into neutral if you find this easier to do standing. By all means do so. Work up to 10 circles in each direction, keeping them small, slow and controlled, thinking about squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other as you go. Relax the arms down by the sides as you finish. This time rolling the shoulders forwards, scrunch them up to the ears and drop them back and down. Nodding the head gently up and down. Trying to pull the shoulders down your back as you go. And prepare to come up to standing for the next phase. So, simple roll downs, tailbone tucked, shoulders drawn back and down, soft knees, feet about hip distance or wider, lovely deep breath into the lower ribs. Breathing out, chin tucks to the chest, the tailbone tucks, and go down as far as you can possibly go. Make sure you're comfortable, nod the head forwards and backwards. Turn the head gently side to side. Taking your time, tuck the chin to the chest, tuck the tailbone and start to curl up. Draw the shoulders back and down, deep breath in. Going again. I've progressed quite swiftly through these on the video, but take your time, do as many as you need. Holding onto your elbows, make a cradle. Rock the cradle forwards and backwards and side to side, keeping the knees soft. You can let the hips sway as you move the cradle or keep them still, whatever feels better. Taking your time, rounding through the back, stacking one vertebrae at a time as you peel back up. For the last one, we're going to work a little into the hamstrings. So the same principle, slow roll down, taking your time to fold in on yourself, going only down as far as you're comfortable. I'm demonstrating the full bend, but also if your hands only reach to your knees or maybe your shins, you can still work this, bending both knees and straightening them at the same time, pushing your sit bones up to the ceiling. Take your time returning to the top and prepare to come down onto the mat. For the next phase, think about tucking the chin in, lengthening through the back of the neck, sitting up nice and tall on your sit bones. We're trying to keep the distance between ribs and hips the same, so as you lean back, try not to arch the back or slump into your spine. Think about sitting tall, shoulders drawing back and down. Exhaling as you hinge back, inhaling as you come forwards. If you have the small ball, you can use it behind your lower back if this feels more comfortable. We're now working into the arms, holding that little hinge back. Raise the arms, open them out to the side, raise them above, and inhale back to the front. See if you can work up to 5, taking your time as you go. Breathing in to sit back up, holding onto the knees and folding forwards to round the back and stretch. Lengthening out the legs now. If your hamstrings are tight, soften the knees. Think about sitting on the sit bones. Crossing the arms across your chest, working for some rotation. Exhale to twist to one side. Inhale back to the center and exhale the other way. Trying to keep your chin in line with your wrists so the head doesn't turn more than the torso. And then we're moving up the spine. So arms like a genie, working into the midsection of the back, breathing out to rotate. Breathing in through the center, breathing out the other side. I'm only doing a few repetitions here, but you can work up to 10 of all of these exercises. We're traveling up the spine to the top now. Fingers interlaced, palms to the ceiling, sitting tall. Breathe out and rotate to the side. In through the center, out the other side. These will all seem fairly small. You may not be able to travel much distance in the rotations. Go as far as you can comfortably go. Rounding the arms out in front, folding forwards, stretch it out towards the feet. And we're going to shift down onto the mat now for our next phase. So, neutral spine position. We're pelvic tilting. So from the little gap underneath the lower back, raise the arms to the ceiling as if you're holding a basket over your chest. Breathe out, soften the back into the floor, and breathe in back to neutral. Keep tilting forwards and backwards, massaging the lower back into the floor. Working the breath a little bit lower through the rib cage, trying to get some abdominal engagement. Starting to float the arms overhead now as we imprint the spine. So exhaling as the arms travel, imprinting the back into the floor. Inhaling, arms to the ceiling, back to neutral. Taking your time, coming forwards and backwards. Again, work up to 10 of these. Then bring your left leg to tabletop. Follow with the right, holding neutral spine. Taking both arms again up towards the ceiling, reaching the palms towards one another, softening the shoulder blades into the mat. Apologies for the unflattering angle of this filming. We're tilting the pelvis forwards and backwards, so focusing on the lower waist. Breathing out, softening the back into the floor, inhaling back to neutral. You can just about see my knees move as I work through it. Bring the hands into a prayer position with the elbows bent. And now as you tilt the hips, breathe out and reach the fingertips over your head, keeping the bend in the elbows. Feel how the waist responds. You can use the pelvic tilt for this or just work the arms, it's up to you. Bring the arms down, return the feet to the floor, ready for the next exercise. Left leg returns to tabletop. And we're starting our toe taps. So I'm showing you a lot of variations here. Single leg variation, nice and easy. Neutral spine position if you can, shoulders relaxed. One foot coming halfway down towards the floor, keeping the bend in the knee, moving from your hip. If this feels comfortable, you can take the right leg up to join you. Again, you can work this with one leg resting in tabletop and one leg doing the work. Or you can alternate. It's up to you what suits your back and suits your tummy. Make sure that you're exhaling as the foot comes towards the floor, inhaling as it returns to neutral and tabletop position. Shoulders are relaxed. Exhaling to move the foot. Inhaling to draw back up as if there was a string on the top of your knee. Bring the knees in, place your hands on the kneecaps and circle round to massage the back into the floor. Take hold of your strap or your elastic band. Take it shoulder distance apart. You just need it for spacing. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, raise the strap over your head. You're thinking about the engagement of the muscles wrapping round the outside of your ribs. Thinking about the positioning of the ribs, trying not to let them flare as the arms travel overhead. Trying to keep neutral spine position if you can. Again, work up to 10 repetitions of this. We're going to add a little bit of leg movement. So now, as one foot toe taps towards the floor, the arms are moving just away from the chest. They don't have to hit the floor over your head. A little movement is enough to challenge the tummy. Ideally, you're still staying in neutral as you move the legs and arms. If that was feeling good, as you breathe out, extend one foot at a time away from you. Pointing the toes as you go to work into the thigh muscles, again staying in neutral spine position. Then bending the elbows, bringing the feet back down, returning to the bottom. Coming into the next exercise, we're getting ready for a bit of rotation. Raise the arms with the band above your chest, sink the shoulders into the floor. Lengthen one leg to the ceiling and follow with the other. Soften your back into the mat. Keeping your gaze into the middle of the band or into your belt, look side to side as you move your arms. You'll notice the arms will bend a little as you come over to the side. That's fine. If you need to bring the legs into tabletop rather than extended, also great. You can soften the knees if you need to. Just showing you it in tabletop position, a little reach side to side, working through the obliques, the sides of the waist. Exhaling to move, inhaling to return to the center. One foot to the floor and follow with the other. Following on to the next exercise, thinking about your hips, lower part of the waist, in and around the pelvic girdle. One leg up to tabletop, slide the other foot away along the floor. Ideally pointing your toes as you go, dragging with a heel as you draw the leg back in. Your back will like to arch as you point the toes and send the leg away, so use your breath out and control through the waist to maintain neutral spine position. Raise the arms if you fancy it. Try and work up to 10 repetitions on this side before moving on to the next. Switching the legs, one leg to tabletop, breathing out to slide the foot away, toes pointed. Flexed foot to drag back in. Working up to 10 repetitions, still trying to maintain neutral spine, using the stomach muscles, breathing out to control the lower waist. Working to double legs now, a little bit more challenging. Only go as far as you can maintain without your back changing position. Breathe out to stretch the legs away. Inhale to draw the heels back in. If you have a small red ball, you can use a child's football if you prefer. You can place it under the feet. This makes it a little bit more unsteady, gives you a bit more of a challenge, pushing the feet away. Add in a little overhead arm reach. Again, it's optional. You're breathing out to reach and inhaling to return the legs and the arms. Make sure that the back doesn't excessively arch. You're trying to keep a neutral spine position, or even imprinted if that's more comfortable. Drawing one leg in, holding behind the back of the thigh, extending the other leg away. Bring yourselves up and into seated position. So we're going to work on the rhomboids between the shoulder blades. You don't have to sit up if you don't want to, just showing you where the muscles are. So you can do this with something between the hands or not. Reach the arms long to the ceiling. Push the fingertips up, allowing space to appear underneath the shoulder blades. Inhale to draw the shoulder blades towards the spine, softening them down and into the mat. This won't feel like you're doing a lot, but you're working the muscles between your shoulder blades and your spine, thinking about them stretching as you reach the fingertips tall, rounding the back, and closing together as you sink the shoulders back down into the floor. Make sure the shoulders stay away from your ears. We're going to come onto our sides now. So as you turn over, make sure that your head is supported by your hand. If this is uncomfortable for your neck, you can place the head on the block. I'm showing you the easier variation on this side, and we'll step it up to a slightly harder progression on the other side. So see which works for you. I'm just showing you the space that you want to be creating between your ribs and your hip, feeling as if your top leg is lengthening. Easier is to keep a little bend in your lower leg. A little harder is to lengthen out the lower leg. Keeping your hand on your hip allows you to feel the top hip traveling in towards your ribs. You don't want to go excessive with the height, but you want to feel a little bit of engagement into the side of the waist as you lift and lower the leg. Aiming for 10 repetitions. Exhaling to lift the leg, inhaling to lower. We're going to progress into some circles. So, slow and controlled. Aim for up to 10 in each direction. Your hand can remain on your waist, or it can extend up to the ceiling. Or if you're finding this a little less steady, you can place the hand onto the floor. You want the circles to be about the size of a dinner plate. Bring the knees together, place the feet to the floor. Tuck the heels a little closer to your bottom and raise the arm to the ceiling. Working on the bottom muscles, inner and outer thighs. Some of you may know these as clams. Opening and closing the knees. Thinking about a glass being balanced on the top hip. Trying not to knock it onto the floor. Opening and closing the knees. Again, up to 10 repetitions. And we're elevating the feet. And doing up to 10 in this position. Sitting up to stretch. Taking the arm up and over. Hold for as long as you need. And repeat on the other side. So, slightly modified position now. Going to be on the forearm rather than lower down. Make sure to lift your body up and out of your shoulder. Try not to collapse. Think about creating space between your rib cage and the mat. Take your time to set up. Legs are both lengthened now. This is a little bit more unsteady. Checking that the elbow is right underneath the shoulder. Removing pollen from nose. Hay fever season. So, lengthen the leg. Create the gap between ribs and hips. And then start to squeeze and contract it as you lift and lower the leg. Breathing out to lift. Inhaling to lower. Again, working up to 10 of these. Be mindful of your neck. If it feels uncomfortable at any point, lower the head down and rest it on the hands, or rest it on the arm and come right the way down to the floor. Going into your circles. Try it with an elevated arm. Again, a little bit more challenging on your balance. At the sticky points where it doesn't feel smooth and the circle is a bit harder to achieve, breathe out. Use your tummy to control the speed and control your balance. The stronger you exhale, the stronger the control. Bending both knees. Heels coming in, opening and closing into the clam stretch. Again, up to 10 repetitions. And with feet elevated, same thing, opening and closing. Keeping it a small movement, being mindful of the glutes, bottom muscles, inner and outer thighs. Taking your stretch to counteract, reaching in the opposite direction. Bring yourselves onto your back to come and stretch. Sitting up nice and tall, taking the hands behind you now, working into the triceps, down the backs of the arms. So planting the hands onto the floor. This will be different for everyone depending on the length of your arms. Think about drawing the shoulders away from your ears, lengthening through the spine. Make sure the elbows are pointing out directly behind you, and you're maintaining that spinal length as you bend the elbows straight out behind you. You don't have to go particularly deep. Try and keep the back nice and long. If it's feeling easy, lift the heels. A little bit more body weight now onto the arms. Taking your time. Raise the legs to tabletop for your final set. Again, you're working up to 10 of these. You'll feel it's a little more tricky now. You're pivoting at your hips, rocking the body weight back and forwards, and then lowering the feet to rest. Lengthen the legs out in front, interlace the fingers and fold forwards towards your feet to stretch. We're going to come over onto all fours for the next exercise. So we're looking for a good, strong quadruped, all fours position. Tailbone tucked, back lengthened, hands underneath the shoulders, knees directly underneath the hips. The chin is tucked in, the back of the neck is lengthened. Breathing in to prepare, breathe out and take one hand in front. Slide the opposite leg out behind. Keep the toes in contact with the floor until you're ready to lift. Breathe out to squeeze the glutes and lift. Hold your balance. And then bring the elbow into the knee. Reaching and lengthening. Bending the elbow in to touch the knee. Breathing out to extend. Inhaling to try and round the back a little. Think about becoming a ball in the middle and then stretching out, trying to reach without arching the back. Touching the toes down to the floor and lifting. Squeezing the bottom muscles, trying to minimize the change in the back position. Bend the elbow. You'll notice mine could have gone higher. My apologies. Flex the foot, pressing the foot up towards the ceiling, squeezing the bottom muscle. If at this point the arm is feeling uncomfortable or you need a little bit more balance, you can place the hand down. And gently bring the knee down, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone, and round the back up to the ceiling. Inhaling to lengthen the spine between. Repeat a couple of times, and then we'll change to the other side. So I'm going to show you some modifications for this next one. So you will go through the same series. Initially, you'd be bending the knee in and touching the elbow together, then toe tapping up and down. Progressions, the arm and the leg come out to the side and come back in. Breathing out to drift out, breathing in to come back in. Have a little stretch between each variation. If your wrists don't like this position or you're uncomfortable, maybe you have repetitive strain, you can modify Come onto a fist position with your supporting hand. If this is still troubling you, you can modify and come down, maybe onto the forearm. So we're going into the toe taps. The leg dips down and rises back up, minimizing movement in the back. Final variation on your forearms. So I'm just showing you the toe taps in each variation, but you can go through the full series. The only one that's a little tricky on your forearm is touching the elbow to the knee. Not a lot of move, not a lot of space. So you can toe tap, you can drift out to the sides, and you can circle. Come into your child's pose or shell stretch to finish. With the arms wide across the mat, take one hand and place it on top of the other. Your uppermost hand, lean into that shoulder. Stretch through the back of the shoulder, feeling it all the way down the side of the back. Open the hands wide across the mat, change over, and push into the shoulder of the uppermost hand. Bringing ourselves into seated position now for a little bit of spinal rotation. We're going to use it to stretch through the shoulders as well. So find the sit bones. If you need a soft bend in the knees for your hamstrings, that's fine. You can also do this sitting on a cushion or a block. Arms go wide. Take a deep breath in to prepare. As you breathe out, rotate the right hand and slide it down the outside of your left leg, looking back towards your left fingertips. Feel the bracing of the right hand against the left leg. Inhaling to come up, arms going wide. Exhaling over the other side. Repeat a few times side to side, working up to 5 repetitions on each side. Coming to the top, draw the legs in, use the hands to help bring the knees in, and round the back, bringing the nose towards the knees, stretching out. We're going to come back onto all fours to set up into our plank position for the next exercise. Swing the legs round behind, hands underneath the shoulders, starting in your full plank, and I'll show you all the modifications. We're just holding, seeing if we can get up to 5 breaths. Thinking about tucking the tailbone into neutral spine position, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears. If you need to modify, you can come down onto the knees at any point. Notice how the hips are still forwards, the tummy is still engaged, the back hasn't sagged towards the floor. If you find this too complicated for the wrists and it's giving you any discomfort, you can come down onto your forearms. Make sure that the elbows are right underneath your shoulders. And you're trying to draw the shoulder blades down your back. Try and hold each variation for 5 breaths. Work up to holding for 10 breaths in full plank position over time. Bring the hips back onto the heels, slide the hands forward into your shell stretch or child's pose to finish. And then bring yourselves up to seated to just work through the head and neck. Comfortable seated position, it doesn't have to be cross-legged. Take one hand overhead and bring the ear towards the elbow, stretching down the opposite side of the neck. Change sides. Be careful to sit nice and tall. Chin drawn in, neck feeling lengthened. And don't force the neck, only go as far as you can comfortably go. Interlace the hands behind the back of the head, scooping the head up. Gently fold forwards without pulling your neck. The hands are merely resting on the back of the head. The elbows draw together, the shoulder blades draw down the back. Release the hands, but keep the chin tucked down. Couple more breaths here. Again, we're moving quite swiftly through these stretches, but take your time. Slowly rolling the neck back up to the top. Take one hand overhead, walk the fingers down your spine, use the other arm to bring the elbow behind you, stretching out your triceps. Try not to fold forwards with the head, neck and shoulders here. Repeat the other side. If you want to interlace the fingers behind the back, see if you can reach. Lift the head, neck and shoulders as you stretch through the triceps. Try and hold each stretch for at least 2 or 3 breaths. Gently bring the chin down to the chest. Roll it a quarter turn to one side. Taking your time, come to the bottom and roll to the other side. Bring the head back down to the bottom. Very slowly bring it back up to the top. Well done. See you for the next class.